Now we're going. Cooking with gas.
Ooh, good job.
Thanks.
Here we have one of the teams you just saw in the video, Team Jan and Liz, now renamed to Team Jan, Liz, and Nancy, in honor of yet another of our friends' moms. So, and we have been honored to be a part of Jodi's race for a number of years, and we'd like to build a big team. So that's how we usually get a spot in the team village for our large team. So we're really happy to be here. What we want to spend tonight doing is really talking to Sue and getting her like wisdom, knowledge, expertise in building a team, building or doing fundraising for a team. So you might have seen in the video, Sue Hester has been a part of the race for, well, is it since the beginning?
Yeah, since the beginning.
Since the beginning, so 12, this will be 12 years. And for the past few years, she has been the top fundraiser of all of Jodi's race. So she has a lot of wisdom to bestow upon us. And what we're gonna do is probably spend the next 15, 20 minutes talking with Sue. I'll be asking her some questions. If you all have questions, we will, I think we said this officially ends at 7, but we are all going to stay on until 7:30 so that we can answer any additional questions you have for Sue or for any of us. And without further ado, we'll take it away. And if you all would like to, it'd be really lovely to have you, if people are comfortable in the chat function. And Jessica's really great at assistance with everything that has to do with Zoom if anybody has any questions about this. But if you could just say your name and your team, and if you'd like to write what motivates you to do Jodi's race in the chat as we're talking with Sue, that'd be lovely. Okay, so let's get started. And I know you have something you want to share with us, so we'd just love to open up with you telling us a little bit about yourself, your team, and why you do Jodi's race.
Okay. Well, when Jodi's race started back in 2010, I had been diagnosed with stage 3C ovarian cancer that January. And I was doing the weekly plan on my chemo. So I went to chemo every week, and I had done 11 chemos, and I was watching the noon news one day, Channel 7, and I heard something about a race for ovarian cancer. And I thought, what's that all about? So I had, I was a Kaiser patient, and so they have a great big chemo ward with about 20 chemo beds. And, you know, I was there every week, got to talk to people, but I had never met anyone with ovarian cancer. And so this was new that there was an organization around ovarian cancer. So I called up my sister and I said, gosh, I heard about this. What do you think? She says, let's do it. So my first team was 7 people: my husband, my daughter, my sister, my niece, and my cousin. And I just decided I'm gonna see if I can raise some money. So I sent out an email to people I knew. And of course, people knew that I was diagnosed with this really scary disease. And so I think out of wanting to support me, wanting to be able to do something, they gave some money. And first year I raised about $1,400. So after that, I just kept doing it, and the team grew, and my fundraising grew, and here we are.
Wonderful. Grew and grew and grew.
Right.
So Sue, tell us a little bit. So you said that when you first did the race, you raised actually a substantial amount of money and sent out communication to friends and family. Can you say now, over the course of the years, I know you've honed your strategy for fundraising and team building. Could you tell us a little bit about how you build your team and how you do your initial fundraising?
So, you know, ovarian cancer really affected my life, and I recurred the year after. So in 2011, I was in recurrence. In 2012, I recurred again. And I finally got done with this, I think, in April of 2017. So that's just 5 years ago. So my people have been following me and helping me because they've been scared for me. And so, you know, once I started doing Jodi's race, then I started getting involved with COCA. And I started learning about COCA, and I started benefiting from COCA. And so part of my fundraising strategy is to talk about COCA and what a wonderful organization it is. Ultimately, I ended up being on the board of directors, and I was even the president for 3 years. And so again, you know, when you're doing that level of volunteer work, you really learn about the organization, what the programs are. You meet so many people. So part of my fundraising strategy is to talk about COCA and what COCA does, what COCA did for me, but also what COCA does for so many women. I think that is really, really important. Also, because people knew that I was a survivor, I was fighting it, and that my future was uncertain. You know, they followed me, they followed what I was doing. And I started, sometimes I have a little cutout on my internet, so hopefully that didn't bug you. I got a little sign, internet is unstable. But anyway, part of it is, it's something that I just talk about. to people that I meet, people that I know. And, you know, I'm a member of a lot of groups. I have a church group. I mean, I'm a neighbor. I've got a neighborhood. I have a bridge group. I do water aerobics. I've got people that I used to work with. So, you know, I have all these groups. And so ultimately, I just started building a list of people who might help. And so what I did the first year was I sent out this list of, I don't know, maybe 30 people. And now my list is about 130 people. And every year, early in the year, I look at that list because I want to curate it. You know, I want to add people. I want to take off people. And so I look at that list and I work on it to make sure that it's really current. So not only do I do that, but then what I do is usually around whenever I set up my team, I will give a good donation myself because I kind of want to set the bar, you know, and I don't want people to feel that they have to give as much as I do. I really make it very clear that it's important for people to give as little or as much as they feel they can. And so I don't browbeat them or, you know, beat them up in any way. It's just kind of like, hey, you know, if you can do this, I'd really appreciate it. So I usually send out my first email around the end of March, and they, you know, the donations start rolling in. And during that time, I'm also talking to people, you know, when I see people, when I'm with people, when you do a catch up, hey, Sue, what's going on? You know, talk about, well, here's, you know, this is what I'm doing, book club's reading this, whatever. And Jodi's race is coming up. Oh yeah, I got your email. I forgot, you know? So it's really important kind of to keep that momentum going and keep talking about it and bringing it up. And people don't feel threatened or worried that, you know, that I'm trying to coerce them or anything. It's more just what's going on in my life. And I'm sharing it with people.
I love that.
So then I follow up with, you know, so again, any kind of interaction, they can almost guarantee I'm gonna say something like, for example, last Friday was book club. Well, there are 6 people in the book club and one of them had donated. And I said, hey, Carol, thanks for your donation. Well, guess what? Got some more after that. You know, it just
You weren't shaming anyone though, I'm sure. So.
No, not at all, because they all donate. They just forgot, you know, they forgot. So so that's kind of a strategy. And then I'll follow up. I'll send out another email, probably one coming up in May. I was interviewed on the radio yesterday, and so was Heather O'Connell. We were there together on Cool 105. And so once we get that, I'll be sending them out to my list. And again, that'll be a reminder. Often I also will put it on my Facebook page. You know, that doesn't work as well as the individual emails for me, but it's one more thing, you know. So that's kind of how I do it.
So Sue, let me ask you, when you send out these communications, are you primarily asking for donations, or do you also open it up for anyone who wants to join the team, or is that pretty well set?
Both. You know, what I would really like to do is be able to share my screen. I've got a photo that I'd like to share. So one of the things I do always is we take pictures of Team Sue. And, you know, people love to see their photos. And so over the years, you know, I'll show you, here's a smaller team. I'm going to show you one on the screen. Here's a big one.
Nice.
So, people love it. And what I do is, I think it's really important, a really huge strategy for me is to make sure I thank people, not once, but many times. As soon as I see, when you've got your team, you'll get a notification that somebody has donated. And so what you need to do immediately is thank that person. And I do it several ways. The least is an email. If it's a big donation, bigger than normal, I call them. If it's a new donation, I call them. And then afterwards, I send everybody a thank you. I send them a thank you because that's so important. So let me put this up just so you can see. So this was last year. And what I'm running is about 25 people at this point. And so what I did is I had these made into postcards. So here's the postcard. And on the back of the postcard, it says, Team Sue 2021 had 26 runners and walkers, raised over $11,000 to help women with ovarian cancer, was #1 in fundraising. Sue thanks you from the bottom of her heart. You are the best. And then what I do is I write a little note on it, handwritten note. And people love to see these, and they love to see they like to identify themselves in the photo. So that's worked for me. Earlier, a few years ago, I used to send out a save the date. You had asked Jonna about holding the team. I used to send out a save the date postcard, and it would say, come walk with me, or donate, or both. Saturday, June 9th, 2018. COCA's annual fundraiser to help women fight ovarian cancer. More details via email soon. Thank you. P.S. I'm doing fine. So, just those little things I think really mean a lot, and people really like to be thanked. So I just have to tell you this one little thing. So last year, I had a new person on my team whom I had never met. I didn't know who it was. And so I was able to find out, that her email, and I found out that she was in my water aerobics class. And I know her, but I didn't know her last name. And she gave a really nice donation, and she came and she walked last year. So this year she joined again, yay. And I emailed her, thank you so much for your donation. She wrote me back and she says, I have a friend in New York who's in ovarian cancer treatment. I said, oh, really? How's she doing? So we're doing this email. And I said, can I help? Can I talk to her? And she said, oh, Sue, that would be wonderful. So the woman's in New York on Long Island. She and I had a great conversation. She was really, really distraught. No services there like COCA, okay? No support groups. Told her what we have. So, she was confused about a lot of things. I sent her some links to like the National Cancer Institute website. I sent her a link to COCA's website because there's really good general information about ovarian cancer there. And I talked to her about Clarity Foundation, which will provide second opinions for women, and they provide free counseling. And she was obviously depressed and having really a hard time. So, you know what? Little things like that mean a lot to people when you can help them. So that's what I try to do.
That's amazing, Sue. Thank you. And what a touching story. You obviously have a long history with COCA and Jodi's race and such a personal connection. And one question I have is, for those of us who maybe don't have as much experience personally with utilizing COCA services, or don't know them, you don't have that as in depth, or maybe there's some of us who are hesitant to share all of our personal story, what suggestions do you have about engaging folks for fundraising and or for the team? If we can't necessarily speak to our utilization of COCA services and how important the fundraising is for that, or if we're a little hesitant to share our personal story with folks.
Well, I think stories are just really important. You know, people thrive and people learn and people are influenced when we tell stories. And there are lots and lots of stories through COCA. And, you know, I mean, I was looking at the website yesterday, the COCA website, just to kind of get prepared for this, what's on there. And, you know, where are some survivor stories? There are a couple of survivor stories, including mine. So, you know, you can use those. And you know, I think, Janine, that would be something that would be really good for the teams to know. Just some survivor stories that they could share.
We also have some great survivor quotes that
yeah,
I can make sure are available to team captains. So thanks, Sue. That's a great idea. I'll work that up and
Great idea.
you guys can have that tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, last night I sat in a board meeting, the COCA board meeting, and I learned that there's this program where COCA helps women who are newly diagnosed, who are trying to navigate their insurance. You know, insurance is, it's a mess in this country, you know? None of us have all that we need. And when we do get diagnosed with something like ovarian cancer, we have to figure out how we're going to pay for it and what's covered and what's not covered. Well, we have women who work with COCA who advise and help survivors navigate this process. And they are trained, they know how to help women. And last night I learned that since the first of the year, these counselors that we have, they're part-time, have saved women going through ovarian cancer $500,000. Okay.
Wow.
What they would have had to pay. And so what they help them do is find insurance that maximizes their coverage. Some don't even know they might be eligible for government programs, grants. You know, some of the medications are really expensive and they're out of pocket rather than covered by copays. And they help women find grants to help them. They help them with billing, you know, if they're overbilled. So, you know, something like that is really important. The other thing is the COCA Cares program, which helps poverty level women pay their bills when they are going through cancer treatment. And, you know, the one that it's the most extreme one, Janine knows all of them, but there's one that there was a homeless woman going through chemo. She had a car. That's what she was living in. And what COCA doesn't just give you money. You have to submit bills. So what the woman did was submit bills for her cell phone because she had to be able to make contact with and appointments with her doctor. She had to buy gas, you know, to keep warm. She had to buy food. And those were the basic bills that COCA covered for this homeless woman who was undergoing chemotherapy. And, you know, the COCA Cares program helps women who are poverty level. They don't have money, you know, to pay the rent. Sometimes they're at risk of losing their house or their apartment or whatever. And, you know, those kinds of stories can be used. So, you know, if people are reluctant to share things about how COCA has helped them, there are so many stories about how COCA has helped women.
I love that, Sue. What a great suggestion to pull from the website and other sources that share so much about the services and people who have utilized them.
Right.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to let everybody know we're just after 7. I'm hoping people can stay on so we can continue the conversation, but if anyone does have to sign off, of course, we understand. If others have questions for Sue, that would be wonderful. And also open the floor if anybody else has ideas about what's been successful for you in your fundraising efforts or team building efforts. And you can jump off mute, Sarah.
So I have two sisters, and we just decided to, this is our first year, was last year. I just had gotten diagnosed last March. And I was due for my big surgery coming up in June. And I didn't think I could do Jodi's race, but Jennifer Manta, who some of you know, is a neighbor of mine, and her son went to school with my son. And she's the one who, like, I had known about it, and I knew Jodi's race because Jodi is a woman who lived in my neighborhood who had passed away. And actually her daughter was in my son's class. That's crazy.
Wow.
And then another woman who had died in this neighborhood, her son was good friends with my son too in this neighborhood. But so now it's like, I'm one of them too. There's 3 people in my neighborhood with ovarian cancer, 2 have passed away, but that was back in 2010. So we decided, I just felt like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm going to Houston for my surgery, but I just thought, I just want to find the silver linings in this diagnosis. I want to make a difference. I knew how great Coca is, and I had just started getting help from them. It was so new. I hadn't really gotten into the Zoom calls that much, but I knew we needed a group like this to have awareness and education and all the great things that Coca provides, and just like all the things that Sue's talking about with financial assistance and just not feeling so alone. I mean, this disease is brutal. And I have a friend in Pittsburgh, just like Sue, that woman in New York, she doesn't have a Coca in her area. And it just breaks my heart. So, I'm like, I really want to help, an organization like this. So I think we just had 2 weeks, and I just started on my Facebook campaign. I started a private Facebook site to share my journey with my friends and family, just so I could not have to be calling and texting everyone all the time. So a lot of people, and I am a native Denverite, Coloradan, and so I do have a lot of connections like Sue. So I just started reaching out. I mean, and I really didn't have time to do that much, but then my sisters joined as a team member, and they walked the race with me. We probably had 10 people that last year, or maybe a little bit less. I can't remember, but we're all so competitive that we're like, let's like, who can beat who? And my sister Mary, she's an English teacher, and she's a terrific writer, and she has a way with words to do a good campaign, and she knows a lot of people as well. She's from Colorado, and well, she lives in California now, but so we just kind of started this like friendly competition, and it only benefits Coca, right? So
Nice.
so it was just kind of funny. It was my 2 sisters and I all of us competing. It was really Mary and I who were the Irish twins of the family. We're like 16 months apart, so we're like, game on, let's go. So that we were just like, it really wasn't that much effort, although like with Sue, I would immediately thank people and remind people on Facebook, and I'd be like, we're catching up, we could be team number 1 if and just like getting people like rallied up and wanting to be a part of this, and telling my personal story. I mean, I'm an open book. I tell everybody everything, and then on my site I tell it all. And I'm saying a lot about not just ovarian cancer, but just getting your mammograms and getting your skin checks, and just a reminder of like, let's not take our health for granted.
Yeah.
I mean, my family jokes that like, you haven't blown your nose in 20 years. You never get a cold. You never get sick. There's no ovarian cancer in my family. It just completely came out of the blue for me. And so it's just a reminder that like anyone could have this happen to them. And they used to call it the silent killer, and I think they still do, but it really isn't silent. I ignored symptoms. And I, had skied 70 days that year. So I'm like, how could I, what's this bloating? I don't know. Who could, I'm fine. And so I tell people my personal story, and I just feel like telling the personal story is really important. But then also, if you have people who join the team and want to raise funds on their own, you can kind of get their competitive juices flowing and be like, who can raise the most amount of money for, And then, what I do is have the link to my site saved on my phone in the notes section. And so you have it at your disposal to, like, if you talk to someone, they go, well, how do I donate? And you have it right there. You can text them that link that goes directly to your site.
Yeah.
Like, because I was thinking of a business card, but I'm like, this day and age, someone will grab a business card and go, oh, okay, what am I going to do with this? Everything's so electronic now. I think, you just either email it or text it to them. But I think I'll try more of what Sue did with individual emails, because I think it's more of a personal touch. I just didn't have the time last year. But it just kind of snowballed, and I was just amazed what we did. And
Can I just pop in and say Sarah's being she's not being very forthcoming. She and Sue were neck and neck as far as who was going to be the number one fundraiser. And Sue has been our number one fundraiser for 4 years now. And I don't know if she's going to make it to 5 with Sarah on her heels, but
Janine, you're stoking the competitiveness right here.
yeah.
it was crazy. And I think there was like a last minute effort on Sue's part. And I want to say you guys were very far apart, like not even $50, if I remember. I could be wrong, but.
Well, I'm glad. I wanted her. I'm like, she's got to win, because, in the end, it's Sue. I gotta, but, and I didn't realize too, after the race, you can still have donations come in. But at that point, I left the very same day of Jodi's race to Houston. I had an afternoon flight and 2 weeks in Houston. And, I wasn't following up or doing anything at that time. I was concentrating on my health, going to the hospital and getting my 16-inch incision and everything taken out. So anyway, well, thank you.
Well, thanks for sharing, Sarah. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
And
sure.
a few themes seem to be coming up, which is, communication, putting it out there, following up,
Mhm.
sharing gratitude when people do join or donate.
I have a
And Sarah,
question.
oh yeah, Helen.
Go ahead.
do you have something to
I
add?
was just wondering, when you guys reach out, is it through Facebook and personal contacts that you have, friends and coworkers? Is that how you reach out to so many people?
Yes.
What I do, Helen, is I have a list that I developed with my email on my email account.
Okay.
And what I do is I actually send it as a BCC
Mhm.
so that people don't know how many people are on there, or if somebody replies to all,
Yeah.
Oh, right.
The reply I'll always get to.
Yeah. So that's the way I do it.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like that supplemented by social media, the Facebook. Sarah used Facebook more because she was fighting her battle, and people were reading her Facebook page every day or every few days to find out what was going on with her.
Okay.
And so everybody was attuned to that Facebook way. For
Yeah.
me, I don't have that many people on Facebook that aren't on my list.
Just
Yeah.
reiterate one thing, and I think Sue really already said this, but when I send out the email to my team, I include both of the links so they can donate if they want, or they can join my team. And it's kind of fun to see what the mix is right now. It's about 50-50. 50% of the people donated and 50% of the people joined. And we win if they do either. So it's all good.
Is there a way to have a link directly to your team? Because I always just tell everyone to go to Jodi's race and then go to team and search for me.
Yeah,
But
there
I
is.
didn't.
If you, Helen, if you log in to the site, and up in the right-hand corner, there's a place where you pull down a menu, and you can actually go right to your team page.
Uh-huh.
And there is a prompt that says share it, and you
Oh,
can get
okay.
the link, and that will take them right to your team page.
Great. Thank you so much. That will help a lot.
And I'm just gonna, poor John, I can't get a word in edgewise. I'm just gonna mention that if any of you need any assistance with anything related to registration, getting your link out to somebody, donations, whatever, please contact me. I'll send you to Heather. I'm just kidding. I might, but she's a rock star, and she's kind of my understudy this year. So she's doing a great job. But I just want you to know that we're here for you. So please reach out.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that brings up a couple of other points. So in the video, you all saw Janine was tantalizing us all with these fundraising incentives, which are amazing. And we wanted to make sure, because sometimes some of these things can be confusing, at least I will speak for myself. I was confused on one point, so we thought it might be good to bring here, which is you have your team page, and if you ask people to donate, they can donate to you or they can donate to your team. And there's some things on the back end we can do to make it all come together. But if you want the incentive, it's a good idea to ask people to donate to you. So you can have them actually identify you when they donate. And if that's the case, then the donations will rack up next to you, and then you will be in line for your very own incentives. And that was something I wasn't totally clear on, so I wanted to make sure everybody knew that. The other thing that a lot of people do, and Sarah, I know you had your fundraising page, or you had your Facebook page more to keep people in the loop. You can also set up a fundraiser right on Facebook, and ask people to donate, which is great. And I think, Janine, I know you shared with us some of the numbers. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think a fair amount comes in from the Facebook fundraisers. However, if you do that, Janine asks that you send her a screenshot or the information on the total donations you received, because Facebook does not let us know who the donations are coming from. So Patty, if you set up a Facebook fundraiser, Facebook will send Coca the money, but they won't say this portion is from Patty. So just be sure to do that if you set one of those up.
Cool. A couple other tips that I at least have worked for me, but then I've thought of this year is just going through your Christmas list, and it's some people who you haven't heard from for a while, but I mean, just like Sue does, you want to make sure that they're appropriate people, but it just jogs your memory, like I have mine in a Word document, but just go through all of those, go through your Facebook friends. And then I'll just be sitting there at night or in the car or whatever, and I have a list on my phone, because you just brainstorm. You're like, and actually, so I talked to my dentist, and I've been going to him for years, and he knows my story, and he's like, well, send me your stuff, and I have all women employed here, and I'm gonna, help you fundraise. And I'm like, well, okay. So, you have to think out of the box of I'm like, oh, well, okay, my dentist, what about my hair guy? My, all these other, service people that you think of, or, just start thinking of everyone connected in your life. I never would have thought of the dentist, but when I was there, then I started telling the story about Jodi's race and Coca, and lo and behold, he was interested in joining in. And he goes, well, I have a Facebook site for our dental practice, so I'll just put that on there. And I'm like, okay, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is great. I mean, who knows if he'll follow through and do it, but I just finalized my little story on the team, which is way too long, so I'm going to edit it. But I'm going to be sending out the link soon. I haven't really even started campaigning yet because I had major surgery a couple weeks ago. I was at MD Anderson, but I'm getting underway. So
Awesome. And you never know who's gonna step in and
Yeah.
offer to help. So that's a great reminder that.
yeah,
And I
I
think
mean,
Sue, you said this too, just talking about it and
Yeah.
letting people know
Yes.
and making sure
Uh-huh.
that people understand it's important to you, it's coming up. People
Yeah.
want to help.
I mean, so that just my notes section on my phone, I just have like brainstorming people, like ideas of who I can hit up. To say it, lightly, but like my parents' friends, they live in a retirement home at Holly Creek, and a lot of them, have done well in their lives, and she's like, well, I don't know if you should really contact them. I don't know if I feel comfortable. And I said, well, either they believe in it or not. Can't we just try? So I'm gonna so anyway, I just feel like it's a good thing to just start writing down names, like brainstorming everyone you can think of in your life. And a lot of times people you just don't think of, like my dentist or people on a Christmas list. So you're like, oh yeah, what about, I haven't contacted her in a while, but maybe she'll give something. So
And
anyway.
it could be people local or not local. Also, I just want to bring that up, especially, well, actually,
Right.
for the donations, but you could also have folks join your team and they don't have to be present to be a part of your team. So that's just another reminder.
Yeah, and cousins and nephews and I mean neighbors for sure. I think I'm going to go around the neighborhood and just ring the doorbells,
Well, Sarah, if you fundraise so much, you're going to get your own lawn sign that you can then take after the race and just put out, and then everyone will know.
Yeah, well, I love that. Yeah, I might just create my own anyway.
I love it.
I think again, it's kind of hard to ask people for money. I'm shy too, but
you believe in it so much.
I believe in
Yeah.
it, and I get a ton of fundraising material in my mailbox, in my junk mail, and it's kind of like, you give it one time and you get 15 things and you think, oh, but I think really the difference here is the personal touch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It really is. And if people know that you are supporting and that this organization is doing so much good for women, and it's a tiny organization, but Coca does so much.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So, that personal touch and when you talk about it and when you talk with your friends and family and neighbors and people, they'll listen to you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and Sue, I didn't do the big donation like you, but I just said, in my thing, I donated $150. Maybe you consider matching or surpassing that. And then I said, but keep in mind any amount counts, because I don't want to pressure them to do it, 150. But again, like put your money where your mouth is, and maybe, I mean, it could be 50, or you don't have to do it. I didn't do that last year, but I think I read it on a tip, and I was like, oh, that's a great idea.
And people will surprise you, and some people that you think are really well off will give you $25 or $50. But you know what? It all adds up.
Totally.
And then some people so there's a woman that I know I have met 2 times. She lives in Montana. I have met her at 2 social occasions, and she sends $200 every year.
Wow.
I mean, it's like people just astonish me. So
yes, I know.
It's totally unpredictable, but
and
it all adds up.
It's tax deductible, right? You can tell people that, or?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, you all, this has been so informative, and I know Jess put a link in the chat to the tips sheet that you just mentioned, Sarah, because Janine and Heather have put together a really nice sheet that kind of outlines some of the things we talked about tonight and some key tips, and we'll send that out as a follow-up. But just before we wrap up for the evening, is there any other pressing question or tip that anyone wants to share? Or anything I forgot, Jess, Janine, or Heather?
I just have a question about the race that I've already been asked by my team members. So how do you find each other? Because my team is coming from Denver. I live in Colorado Springs. So like, how do we find each other?
Well, you fundraise a lot, so you get a team tent, but I'm kidding, Patty.
Well, I have a hard
Good
time
answer.
fundraising. I'll try my best, but a lot of people just gave me a lot of money when I was going through this. So
Oh, bless
Yeah.
your heart. Well, you know what? The bottom line, especially since this is your first year, we want you to be there and enjoy yourself above all else. So that survivor breakfast, bring your friends. We serve up to 400 people on race day in the survivor breakfast. So I want you to just really enjoy it and come. So
is it easy to find each other? I mean, like,
Well,
how many
yeah.
people are there?
there's like 2,000 people there. We're hoping for around 2,000 people. There's a map, I think it's on there, Heather, on our website
Okay.
it's sort of a site map. And I would say that you should meet at one corner. You could meet near Coda Coffee, for instance, near the coffee people at the end of the pavilion. I don't see a lot of people
Yeah,
gathering
okay.
there. Because it can be hard to find people for sure.
Okay.
So yeah, and if I were you, I would bring a banner or maybe not a
Okay,
big banner,
to
but
hold
a
up.
flag or something
Yeah.
like you're the, a tour guide in France.
Hey, Patty,
Something
one
like
other
that.
thing-
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Patty,
a,
one other thing I might mention. So the parking is at East High School,
Right.
and I would say it's about 4 or 5 blocks from parking to the pavilion, just so that people know, it's not like walking across the street. Gotta
Okay.
walk a bit.
is it
Okay.
not going to be at the museum any
It
longer?
is going to be the museum if you're a survivor.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah, so survivors get to park at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. We have Alpine GMC providing SUV shuttles, but we
Okay.
also are going to have our golf cart this year that'll be going back and forth. So, so you can either have open air or a luxury SUV to shuttle you. And since I think almost everybody on here is a survivor except Tracy, I want to let you know that survivors will be getting information about the survivor breakfast in a postcard, but I'm sure you've signed up for the survivor breakfast if you've registered. And I will be sending out emails to you before the race, telling you about parking, telling you with a parking pass, everything you'll need. So promise that I will take care of that.
Yeah, and Patty, last year, I'm going to turn my video off, and the picture that will pop up, you'll see
Okay.
of me and my my daughter and my 2 nieces. And my daughter made that sign at the event, and she held it up, and that's how we all found each other.
Okay,
So
that's
let
a
And
me
good
we
just-
have
idea.
these
So-
pre-printed signs already
Now
that
I
say
see
here
it.
comes team.
Yeah, so there's my
So-
little
Yeah.
team, my little the little picture that my daughter did, and then she just held it up and everyone was able to find us.
Okay, cool.
So
Nice tech work there, Helen. Good job. You did better than me starting the
Impressive.
video. My goodness.
I do have a question.
Yes.
So my 2 sisters, as I was talking about before, were raising money on their own, but I'm hoping to get some of my good friends to spin off and ask their coworkers and that kind of thing. It is somewhat confusing how how to tell them how to do that and what, because I remember last year, instead of having people send it directly to me, it went to the overall team.
Mm.
And it's like, wait a minute, I want credit for this because I'm trying to
Yeah.
beat my sister. So somehow they need to, I mean, you don't have to be tech savvy, but you have to kind of figure out how to have the link to your particular name as a team member rather than it going just to the overall team. So I
And
don't
know
know
that
how
we
to,
can always fix that. We can always fix that if you're, you know, if you notice that it goes to your team instead of being credited to you, just need to let me know. And either Heather or me or our admin assistant will help.
right, remember I did that last year because I was like, oh no, Mary's not going to be beating me. But my sister, because I said that to you, like, can you change that over to mine? But I'm just saying, what's a
I
good
see.
way to ask friends to, you know, say, hey, do you want to raise some money on your own? But then to help them understand it, for it to go to their particular name, if they want like credit for it.
I
Well,
just
they would
put
act-
my
speak to that.
email address and my phone number in the chat. And if anything like that comes up, you need to have funds shifted around or credited, call me, email me, whatever's easiest for you.
Right, but I'm just saying how to tell them how, you know,
Mhm.
guide them.
They're not going
I
to be
think-
registering for the race. Go ahead, Jonna.
Oh, sorry, I think Jess might be able to walk through it. Is that possible?
They should, if they are registered for the event, or if they're even just registered as a fundraiser only, they will have a unique link of their own that they can send out to everyone. So when they register for either of those things, they will have their unique link and they can just use that link. So if someone clicks on it and donates, it should go directly to their fundraising page.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
if you
funny
have
because
if that's confusing, just let us know. We're happy to help.
Okay.
But
yeah, I was
Absolutely.
joking. I was like, well, if I have a number of my friends doing that, then I won't get credit for them with their donation. But I'm like, you know what? I just want to help. You know, it's not about the winning. It's about Coca, and if they could raise $500 more, like let's say they give 100, but that they can
Absolutely.
give 400 more. Doesn't matter whose name it goes to, as long, you know, it's going to Coca. So yeah.
That's great.
And it
Thank
goes to
you.
your team, right?
Yeah, right. I wouldn't get personal credit, and let's say
see.
my sister is beating me and
You are competitive.
no, and
Really,
you know,
really sense that.
well, and then, you know, in the end, like we all joked about it, but it's fun to, you know, you see like, you know, this kind of thing, like she's ahead, then I'm ahead, and
That's fun.
Love it.
and then Coca wins with that kind of thing.
And Janine, can you please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Team Village tents go to the top fundraising and largest teams, and that's the cumulative. That's not based on one individual's total.
Mhm.
So it's Coca wins and your team still wins, because if you have a high fundraising total, you'll get a tent, which is awesome.
How would you know when you get a tent? Because that would be the meeting place then, you know. But
There'll be a
Right.
deadline, which I can't recall right now,
oh,
but
Me
okay.
neither.
we will tell you what it is, I promise. There's a deadline for fundraising so that we can print signs for the tent that
Mm.
have your team name on them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's top 15 biggest fundraisers and top 5 largest teams
Oh.
that get tents. So there's 20 tents in Team Village. And we'll
Oh,
let you know
okay.
about that deadline soon,
Okay, perfect.
which means I have to figure out what it is.
Awesome.
So, any other last questions or notes before we sign off?
Thank you for this. It was helpful.
I like your teal glasses. Are
Oh,
those
thanks.
teal? I didn't know we were supposed to wear teal today. I didn't do it.
Mm.
Oh, there's that t-shirt contest too. I might hit up my friend to see if well, my logo is not real appropriate, but it's still fun.
I love it.
It's
Well,
good.
thank you,
like
ladies.
your
You're
name.
all amazing, and it'll be really great to see you all at the race this year. I know Jessica and I have been doing the race virtually for the past couple of years, so it'll be really nice to be back in person and to see all of you. And like Heather and Janine said, please keep in contact if there's anything we can do to support you or your team. And if you have any other questions.
Oh, real quick. So is this recorded? Can anyone else watch this then, like my sisters or?
Yes.
Yep.
That's gonna fuel the fire.
No, I know.
I'll be
but I
getting
mean, I
that in a
think-
link tomorrow. I'll be sending out Heather and I worked on an email today that'll have this video plus fundraising tips and team one-page summary kind of information for you.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, I think what Sue said was so great, and I want to have them hear that and be inspired and understand why Coke is so amazing, so they can get fired up for it too.
Right.
And she can win if she wants to, but
If you let her.
you know, everybody wins when everyone wants to raise
Yeah.
a lot of money. All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you.
Been awesome.
Take
Bye.
care, everyone.
Have a
Bye,
great
Nice to
everyone.
night.
meet you. Bye.
See you at the
Bye-bye.
race.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Jonna and Jess.
Bye.
Bye.